He knew it was stupid. He knew it was childish. But every time he saw Yuna walking down the corridor of the starship Horizon's Edge, his feet moved in the opposite direction before his brain could stop them. 3 months. For 3 months, he had been serving on this joint human-Valorian diplomatic mission. For 3 months, he had been running away from the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. The fact that she was not technically human did not matter. The fact that her skin was silver blue and her eyes changed color based on her mood did not matter. What mattered was that every time she looked at him, his heart beat so fast he thought it might explode. And that was a problem, a big problem, because Yuna was a Valorian, and Valorians could feel emotions, not read minds. Daiho had learned that important difference in his first week. They could not hear thoughts or see memories, but emotions, feelings, those were as clear to them as spoken words. They could sense fear, joy, anger, and attraction from across a room. From across a ship, if the feelings were strong enough. His feelings, apparently, were very strong. Daiho squeezed himself into a maintenance tunnel on Deck 7. It was dirty and cramped and smelled like recycled air. Perfect. No one would look for him here. He could hide until his shift ended and then go straight to his quarters without seeing anyone. "Park, Daiho." He jumped so hard he hit his head on a pipe. Yuna stood at the entrance of the tunnel, her arms crossed over her chest. Her eyes were a deep amber color. He had learned that amber meant frustration. He saw that color a lot when she looked at him. "How did you find me?" he asked her, rubbing his head. "Your emotional signature," she said. Her voice was calm but sharp. "It is very loud, like a fire burning in a dark room. I could sense you from the diplomatic quarters." Daiho felt his face grow hot. "I was just checking the coolant lines. There might be a leak." "There is no leak." "There could be." "There is not." Yuna stepped closer to the tunnel entrance. She was tall, taller than most human women. Her silver blue skin seemed to glow softly in the dim light. "You missed the diplomatic dinner tonight. Again." "I had work to do." "You did not." Daiho said nothing. What could he say? She could feel that he was lying. Every excuse he made was pointless. Yuna's eyes shifted from amber to a darker shade. Purple, maybe. He did not know what purple meant. "Why do you hide from me?" "I am not hiding. You are hiding right now. In a maintenance tunnel. This is not hiding. This is working. You are holding a broken scanner that has been out of power for 6 days." Daiho looked down at the device in his hands. She was right. The screen was completely dark. He had grabbed it without thinking, just to have something to hold. He put it down. Yuna made a sound that might have been a sigh. Among her people, sighing was rare. They expressed frustration directly with words. But she had been around humans long enough to pick up some habits. "Your species confuses me," she said. "You feel things so strongly, more strongly than most species in the coalition. I can sense emotions from humans that I have never felt from anyone else. Deep love, burning anger, joy that feels like starlight. And yet you hide all of it. You bury it under walls and masks and lies." Daiho climbed out of the tunnel. He stood in front of her, trying to keep his face neutral, trying to feel nothing. It was impossible. He could not feel nothing when she was this close. Her scent was like rain on warm stone. Her eyes were shifting again, from purple to something softer, something he could not name. "It is complicated," he said. "Explain it to me." "I cannot." "Try." Daiho ran a hand through his hair. It was messy from the tunnel. He probably looked ridiculous. "Humans do not share feelings easily. It makes us vulnerable. If someone knows what you feel, they can use it against you. They can hurt you." Yuna tilted her head. "Why would someone hurt you for feeling?" "Because feelings are power. And people take power when they can. That is a sad way to live. Maybe, but it is safe." Yuna's eyes finally settled on a color, soft violet. He had seen that color only a few times before. It meant something like sadness mixed with understanding. Or maybe disappointment. He was still learning. "Among my people," she said, "hiding emotions is considered either a sign of mental illness or a deliberate insult. If a Valorian feels something, they say it. If they are attracted to someone, they tell them. If the feeling is returned, they proceed. If not, they accept it and move forward. There is no shame in feeling." That sounds nice. It is efficient. Efficient? Deho almost laughed. Feelings are not supposed to be efficient. Why not? He did not have an answer. Una studied him for a long moment. Her gaze was intense, direct in a way that humans rarely manage. She did not look away. She did not blink. She just watched him, and he knew she was feeling everything he tried to hide. I can sense what you feel for me, she said finally. It is not subtle, Park Deho. It has never been subtle. Since the first day we met, your emotions have been screaming at me whenever I am near. His throat went dry. I do not know what you mean. You do. I really do not. You are lying. I can feel that too. Deho looked at the floor, the ceiling, the walls, anywhere but her face. Una stepped back. When she spoke again, her voice was different, quieter, almost gentle. Your species is exhausting, she said. You feel everything and admit nothing. You burn with emotion but refuse to let anyone see the flame. It is frustrating. It is confusing. It is... She paused. It is what? He asked. But she was already walking away. Her footsteps were silent on the metal floor. She moved like water, smooth and graceful, and completely impossible to catch. Daiho watched her go. His heart was still pounding. His hands were still sweating, and his mind was still screaming at him to say something, anything, to call her back and tell her the truth. He said nothing. A laugh came from behind him. Daiho turned to see Kim Jun climbing out from behind a storage container. His friend and fellow human engineer had a huge grin on her face. That was painful to watch, Jun said. How long were you there? Long enough. She wiped tears from her eyes. You are so bad at this. Truly, impressively bad. Shut up. She literally told you she can feel your emotions. She knows you like her. And you still tried to deny it. Jun shook her head. That takes a special kind of stubbornness. Deho groaned and leaned against the wall. What am I supposed to do? Tell her the truth? I cannot. Why not? He thought about it. He thought about all the reasons. Fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of giving someone power over him, fear of feeling something so big that it might consume him whole. Because I am human, he said finally, and humans are idiots. Jun laughed again. Finally, something we can agree on. Deho was still in bed, staring at the ceiling and thinking about all the ways he had made a fool of himself the night before. The soft chime of his personal device pulled him out of his misery just long enough to create new misery. It was from Una. A formal request for a meeting to discuss cross-species communication inefficiencies. He read it 3 times. It sounded official, professional, like something a diplomat would send to solve a problem. But he knew better. This was not about diplomacy. This was about him. He considered ignoring it. He considered claiming he was sick. He considered hiding in the maintenance tunnel again. In the end, he replied with a simple yes. Because refusing would mean explaining why he wanted to refuse. And that would be worse. The meeting was scheduled for 1,400 hours in the diplomatic quarters. Deho spent the entire morning dreading it. He worked on engine repairs that did not need to be done. He checked systems that were working perfectly. He ate lunch alone in the engineering bay, staring at his food without tasting it. Jun found him there. You look terrible, she said. Thank you. Are you ready for your meeting with the gorgeous alien woman who already knows you are crazy about her? Please stop talking. Jun sat across from him and stole a piece of his bread. You know what your problem is? You think too much. Just go in there. Tell her she is pretty and see what happens. That is terrible advice. All my advice is terrible. But at least I give advice. What is your plan? Hide forever? Deho did not answer. Hiding forever sounded nice, actually. Safe and comfortable and completely without risk. But also lonely. Very, very lonely. At 1,400 hours exactly, he stood outside the diplomatic quarters. His palms were sweating. His heart was racing. He felt like a teenager about to confess to his first crush, which was ridiculous because he was 32 years old and had survived combat training, deep space missions, in 3 different alien first contact situations. None of those things scared him as much as the woman waiting behind this door. He pressed the entry button. The door slid open. Yuna was sitting near the large window that showed the stars outside. She wore a simple blue dress that matched the color of her skin. Her hair, long and white like fresh snow, was loose around her shoulders. Her eyes were calm silver today, neutral, waiting. "Park Deho," she said. "Please sit." He sat across from her. The chairs were comfortable, but he felt like he was sitting on rocks. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Yuna said. Her voice was formal, controlled. "I believe there has been a misunderstanding between us. I would like to clear it up." "Okay. You have been avoiding me for 3 months. This affects the efficiency of our mission. We work on the same ship, attend the same briefings, share the same objectives. Your avoidance creates complications." Deho nodded. She was not wrong. "I would like to understand why," Yuna continued. "Your emotional signals are confusing. You feel strongly about me, but you run away. Among my people, this would make no sense. So I am asking you to explain human behavior to me." It was a fair request, diplomatic even. She was giving him a chance to explain himself without directly confronting what they both knew. "It is complicated," Deho said. "You said that yesterday. I need more than that." Deho took a deep breath. "Okay, I will try." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "Humans do not share feelings easily. We have learned over thousands of years that showing emotions can be dangerous. In our history, vulnerability was weakness. People who showed too much were often hurt by those who showed nothing." Yuna listened without expression. "So we built walls," Deho continued. "Not physical walls, but emotional ones. We hide what we feel even from people we care about. Sometimes, especially from people we care about. Because if they know what we feel, they have power over us. They can reject us, they can hurt us, they can use our feelings against us." "And you believe I would do this?" Yuna asked. "Use your feelings against you?" "No. I mean, I do not think so. But the fear is not logical. It is just there, built into us over generations." Yuna was quiet for a moment. Her eyes shifted slightly from silver to pale blue. Thinking, maybe. Processing. "Among Valorians," she said finally, "emotions are shared openly because hiding them would be pointless. Everyone can feel what everyone else feels. If I was attracted to someone and tried to hide it, every Valorian in the room would know anyway. So we learn to be direct, to say what we feel, to accept or reject without shame. That sounds easier. It is not easier. It is different." Yuna leaned forward slightly. "We have our own struggles. Imagine never having privacy in your heart. Imagine every fear, every insecurity, every moment of weakness being visible to everyone around you. We learn to accept judgment because we have no choice. But it is not easy." Deho had not thought about it that way. He had assumed empaths had it simple. Feel something. Share it. Done. But she was right. There was no hiding for her. No protection. Everything she felt was exposed always. "What do Valorians fear?" he asked. Yuna's eyes shifted again. Deeper blue now. "We fear emptiness. Being surrounded by people but feeling nothing from them. Humans are difficult for us because you give so little. We reach out with our senses and find walls. Cold, hard walls. It feels like being alone in a crowd." "I am sorry." "Do not be sorry. Be honest." The words hit him harder than he expected. Be honest. Such a simple request. So impossibly difficult. "I will try," he said. A soft alarm interrupted them. Red lights flashed on the wall panel. Deho's training kicked in immediately. He recognized the signal. Emergency distress call. Yuna was already moving toward the door. "We should go to the bridge." They ran through the corridors together. All awkwardness, forgotten in the urgency of the moment. The bridge was crowded when they arrived. Captain Wu stood at the center, studying a holographic display. "What is happening?" Yuna asked. "Distress signal," Captain Wu said. "Coalition frequency, coming from a research station 2 hours away." "Which station?" "Valorian Science Post 9. Yuna's face changed, just slightly, but Deho noticed. Her eyes went dark, almost black. Pain, fear, recognition. "That is my sister's station," she said quietly. Captain Wu looked at her. "We are changing course now. Full speed." The ship hummed as the engines pushed harder. Daiho watched Yuna stare at the display, at the blinking red dot that represented the station. Her hands were clenched at her sides. Her shoulders were tight. He wanted to say something, to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay. But he did not know if it would be okay, and empty words felt worse than silence. So he did something simpler. He stepped closer to her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched, close enough that she could feel his presence, his support, without him having to find the right words. Yuna glanced at him. Her eyes were still dark, but something in them softened, just a little. "Thank you," she said. He nodded. Sometimes, Daiho thought, being there was enough. Sometimes you did not need words. You just needed to show up. It was not much, but it was a start. Jiyun caught his eye from across the bridge and gave him a small thumbs up. He ignored her, but inside, just a little, he felt like maybe he was not completely hopeless after all. Daiho stared at the view screen, watching pieces of metal and glass float through space like leaves in a dead wind. What had once been a structure holding 200 scientists was now just debris. Broken walls, shattered windows, darkness where there should have been light. Beside him, Yuna was completely still. Her eyes were fixed on the destruction, and even without empathic abilities, Daiho could feel her pain. It filled the room like cold water. "Life signs?" Captain Wu asked. The sensor officer checked her screen. "Multiple, scattered throughout the debris field. Escape pods mostly. Some are damaged, some are not responding to communication." "How many survivors?" "Unknown. At least 30 pods launched before the station broke apart." "What happened here?" "Krell raiders, Captain. Energy signatures match their weapons." The Krell. Daiho felt his jaw tighten. The Krell were not a species anyone wanted to meet in space. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not take. They had no interest in diplomacy, no respect for coalition law. They were pirates with warships, hunters who saw the galaxy as their hunting ground. "We need rescue teams," Captain Wu said. "Engineers who can breach damaged pods. Medical staff for survivors. I want 3 shuttles ready in 20 minutes. "I will go," Daiho said before he could stop himself. Captain Wu looked at him. "You're volunteering for search and rescue?" "Yes. My engineering skills can help with damaged pods. I know how to cut through hull plating without hurting anyone inside." The captain nodded. "Approved. Shuttle 2. "I will join him," Yuna said. Everyone turned to look at her. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were still that deep, painful black. "Senior Officer Yuna," Captain Wu said carefully, "your people are among the victims. Perhaps you should remain here and coordinate from the bridge." "With respect, Captain, my empathic abilities will help locate survivors. I can sense life even when sensors cannot, and I need to be out there." She paused. "I need to know." Captain Wu studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Shuttle 2, both of you." 20 minutes later, Daiho was climbing into the small rescue shuttle. Yuna was already there, sitting near the front window, staring at the debris field ahead. 2 medical officers and another engineer filled the remaining seats. The shuttle launched. Within seconds, they were surrounded by destruction. Daiho had seen wreckage before. He had seen ships torn apart by weapons, stations broken by accidents, vessels crushed by space itself. But there was something different about this. Maybe it was the personal nature of it. Maybe it was the woman sitting beside him, her hands gripping her knees so tightly her knuckles had turned pale. "Where do we start?" the pilot asked. Yuna closed her eyes, her forehead creased with concentration. Daiho watched her reach out with senses he would never understand, feeling for life in the emptiness of space. "There," she said, pointing to a cluster of debris on their left. 3 life signs. Faint. The pod is damaged." The shuttle moved. They found the first pod wedged between 2 pieces of the station's outer hull. Daiho suited up and went outside with his cutting tools. The cold of space bit at him even through his protective gear. He worked quickly, carefully, burning through the jammed door without damaging the life support systems inside. 3 Valorians spilled out when the door finally opened. 2 women and 1 man, all of them barely conscious. The medical officers pulled them into the shuttle and began treatment immediately. "Next location," Yuna said. Her eyes were open now, scanning, searching. "Further east. 2 more. 1 is very weak." They went. For 6 hours they worked without stopping. Deho cut open pod after pod. His arms ached. His back screamed. But every time he saw a survivor stumble out, alive and breathing, the pain felt worth it. Yuna guided them perfectly. Her empathic sense was better than any scanner. She found survivors in places no one thought to look. She felt their fear and used it like a beacon, leading the shuttle through the maze of wreckage. They saved 11 Valorians and 3 humans, 14 people who would have died without them. But they also found bodies, 4 pods with no life signs, 4 groups of people who did not make it. Yuna felt each death before they confirmed it with scanners. Deho watched her face grow harder with each one, her eyes darker, her jaw tighter. She did not cry. Valorians processed grief differently, he had learned, but the pain was there. He could see it even without her abilities. During a brief rest, while they waited for the horizon's edge to clear a path through a particularly dense section of debris, they sat together in the cramped shuttle. The other crew members were sleeping or tending to survivors. For a moment, it was just the two of them. "Thank you," Yuna said quietly. Deho looked at her. "For what?" "For volunteering. For being here. You did not have to come." "I wanted to help." "I know, I felt it." She paused. "When you volunteered, your emotions were very clear. Not attraction this time. Just pure desire to help. To do good. It is a very human feeling." Daiho did not know what to say to that. "Your species confuses me," Yuna continued. "You hide your feelings, yes. But when something matters, truly matters, you act. You do not think about risk or danger. You just move. It is strange. It is admirable." "We are stubborn," Daiho said. "Yes, extremely stubborn." For the first time since the crisis began, something like a smile touched her lips. But perhaps stubbornness is not always bad. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside the window, stars drifted past. Somewhere in the debris field, the horizon's edge was working to save more lives. The universe was vast and cold and often cruel. But here, in this small shuttle, surrounded by people they had saved, things felt a little warmer. "I noticed something today," Yuna said. "What?" "Your walls." She turned to look at him directly. "They were down. While you were cutting open pods, while you were carrying survivors to safety, I could feel everything you felt. No barriers, no hiding, just pure, open emotion." Daiho felt his face grow warm. "I was focused on the work. I did not have time to think about walls." "Exactly." Yuna's eyes shifted to a color he had not seen before. Soft gold, like morning sunlight. "When you stop thinking so much, you are remarkable. Your emotions are vast, Park Deho. Deeper than most beings I have encountered. When you let them show, it is like watching a star come to life." He did not know how to respond. No one had ever described him like that. He had always seen his emotions as a weakness, something to control and hide. To hear her call them remarkable felt strange. Good strange, but strange. "Maybe I should stop thinking so much," he said. "Maybe you should." The comms crackled. The horizon's edge had cleared the path. Time to move again. As the shuttle started forward, Deho felt Yuna's hand brush against his. Just briefly, just enough to let him know she was there. He did not pull away. Progress, he thought. Small progress, but progress. June would be proud, or she would mock him for being slow. Probably both. But right now in this moment, with this woman beside him and the knowledge that they had saved lives together, Deho felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, some walls were worth bringing down. After the rescue mission, the crew of the Horizon's Edge needed something to lift their spirits. They had saved lives, yes, but they had also seen death. The weight of it hung over the ship like a dark cloud. So Jun proposed a celebration, a night where humans and Valorians could share their cultures, eat food, listen to music, and remember why they were out here in the first place. Captain Wu approved it. The recreation deck was transformed into a festival space. Humans brought their favorite dishes and songs. Valorians offered demonstrations of their art and traditions. For one night, the ship felt less like a military vessel and more like a home. Deho stood in the corner. holding a cup of something sweet that a Valorian scientist had offered him. He watched the crowd, trying to look relaxed, trying not to search for silver blue skin and color-changing eyes. He failed. Una was across the room speaking with Ambassador Talon, the elder Valorian who led their diplomatic team. She wore a flowing dress the color of starlight. Her hair was braided with small, glowing beads that pulsed softly in the dim light. She looked, Deho thought, like something from a dream. "Stop staring," June said, appearing beside him with a plate of food. "You look like a lost puppy." "I am not staring. You have been staring for 20 minutes. I timed it." Deho drank from his cup. The sweet liquid burned slightly going down. "What is this?" "Valorian celebration drink. Supposed to lower inhibitions and encourage emotional openness." June grinned. "Maybe it will help you finally say something to her." "How much have you had?" "Enough to give you terrible advice." She grabbed his arm. "Come on. There is a bonding demonstration starting. You should participate." "What?" "No, absolutely not." But June was already pulling him through the crowd. Before he could escape, he found himself standing in a circle of humans and Valorians, all watching Ambassador Talon explain the ancient art of empathic bonding. "This is a sacred tradition among our people," the old Valorian said. His voice was deep and calm, like distant thunder. "Through bonding, two beings share their emotional states. For a brief moment, you feel what the other feels. It creates understanding, connection, trust. It is safe," Ambassador Talon continued. "The bond lasts only 30 seconds. You will experience the other person's emotions, but not their thoughts. Nothing private will be exposed. Only feelings." Several crew members had already volunteered. Deho watched a human lieutenant bond with a Valorian engineer. Both of them gasped at the connection, then laughed when it ended. They looked at each other with new understanding. "We need more volunteers," Ambassador Talon said. His ancient eyes scanned the crowd and landed on Deho. "Ah, the young engineer who helped save our people. Would you honor us?" Every eye in the room turned to Deho. He felt his face burn. "I do not think—" "He would love to," June said loudly, pushing him forward. Deho stumbled into the center of the circle. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. This was a mistake, a terrible mistake. He should run. He should hide. He should— "And who will bond with him?" Ambassador Talon asked. The crowd parted. Una stepped forward. Of course it was her. The universe was mocking him. "For diplomacy," Una said. Her voice was neutral, but her eyes were shifting through colors too fast for Deho to read. Was she nervous too? Was that possible? "Excellent," Ambassador Talon said. "Please face each other. Hold hands." They stood barely a foot apart. Una reached out and took his hands. Her skin was cool and smooth, like polished stone. Her grip was firm but gentle. "Close your eyes," Ambassador Talon instructed. "Clear your minds. The bond will form naturally." Deho closed his eyes. He tried to clear his mind. He tried to think of nothing, but his mind was full of her scent, her touch, the sound of her breathing. Then the bond opened. It was like falling into an ocean. Suddenly, he was not just Deho anymore. He was feeling things that were not his feelings. Una's emotions washed over him in waves. First came loneliness, deep, aching loneliness. The kind that came from being surrounded by people who hid from you. The kind that came from reaching out and finding only walls. Then came frustration. Months of trying to connect with someone who kept running away. Months of sensing feelings that were never spoken, never acknowledged. And beneath all of that, something warm, something persistent, something that felt exactly like what Deho had been hiding. She felt the same way. The realization hit him like a physical blow. She felt the same way. All this time she had been feeling exactly what he had been feeling. Attraction, longing, hope mixed with fear. But the bond worked both ways. As he felt her emotions, she felt his. Everything he had been hiding for months flooded through the connection. Every time he had looked at her and felt his heart race. Every night he had thought about her before sleep. Every moment of desire and admiration and something deeper that he had refused to name. All of it, exposed, laid bare. The bond ended. 30 seconds had passed. It felt like 30 years. Daiho opened his eyes. Yuna was staring at him. Her eyes were a color he had never seen before. Deep purple mixed with gold, swirling like galaxies. The room was completely silent. He realized with growing horror that every Valorian in the room had felt the spillover. Empathic bonds were not perfectly contained. Strong emotions leaked, and what he and Yuna had just shared was very, very strong. Everyone knew. "I need to check the atmospheric recyclers," Daiho said. His voice came out as a croak. "There might be a problem." He did not wait for a response. He turned and walked out of the room. Fast, almost running. Back in his quarters, Daiho paced like a caged animal. His mind was spinning. His heart was still racing. The memory of her emotions lingered in his head like a song he could not forget. She felt the same way. So why was he still hiding? Fear, he thought. Old, stupid fear. Fear of saying something he could not take back. Fear of being vulnerable. Fear of letting someone past his walls and trusting them not to hurt him. But she had let him past her walls too. In those 30 seconds, he had felt everything she felt. Her hopes, her fears, her loneliness. She had hidden nothing from him. Was he really going to keep hiding from her? A knock at his door made him jump. "Daiho," June's voice. "Open up." He opened the door. His friend stood in the hallway, looking at him with a mix of amusement and concern. "That was dramatic," she said. "I know. Everyone saw." "I know. She is probably really confused right now. She literally shared her soul with you, and you ran away." "I know." Daiho leaned against the doorframe. "What do I do?" June sighed. "What do you think you should do?" He knew the answer. He had known it for months. He was just too scared to admit it. "I need to talk to her," he said. "Yes, you do." June patted his shoulder. "But maybe wait until morning. Let things calm down. Let yourself think." "Okay." "And Daiho?" "Yes. When you do talk to her, be honest. Really honest. She felt everything you feel. You cannot hide anymore. So do not try." She walked away, leaving him alone with his thoughts. Tomorrow, he told himself. Tomorrow he would find Yuna and say what he should have said months ago. No more hiding, no more walls. Just truth. Daiho was in his workshop at 0300 hours, pretending to calibrate tools that did not need calibrating. He could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt the echo of the bond. Her emotions. His emotions. All of it mixed together in a storm that would not settle. So he worked, or pretended to work. Same thing, really. The door to his workshop slid open. Yuna stood in the entrance, her silver blue skin glowing softly in the low light. Her eyes were a calm gray, carefully neutral. She was controlling herself, hiding in her own way. "You cannot run forever," she said. "And even if you could, I would find you. Your emotional signature is distinctive." Daiho set down the tool he was holding. "I know." "Then why do you keep trying?" He did not have a good answer. Old habits, fear, stupidity. Take your pick. Yuna walked into the workshop and closed the door behind her. The room suddenly felt very small, very private, very impossible to escape from. "What happened during the bonding," she said, "cannot be undone. We both felt what we felt. We both know what the other knows. Pretending otherwise is pointless." "I know," Daiho said again. It seemed to be the only thing he could say. "Then talk to me." Yuna sat on a workbench across from him. Her gray eyes searched his face. "Tell me why you run. Tell me why you hide. Tell me what you are so afraid of." The words stuck in his throat. He had practiced this conversation 100 times in his head. He had planned what to say, how to say it, when to pause and when to push forward. But now, with her actually in front of him, all his plans fell apart. "I am scared," he said finally. The words came out rough, broken. "I have always been scared." "Of what?" "Of this. Of feeling something so big I cannot control it. Of telling someone what I feel and giving them power over me." He ran a hand through his hair. "Of being vulnerable." Yuna listened without interrupting. "When I was young," Daiho continued, "I learned that showing emotions was dangerous. People use them against you. They hurt you with them. So I built walls. High walls, thick walls. Walls that kept everyone out. He paused. Including people I should have let in. And now? Now I am tired. He looked at her. Really looked at her. I am tired of hiding. I am tired of running. But I do not know how to stop. Yuna's eyes shifted. Gray became soft blue. Understanding, maybe. Or patience. With her, it was hard to tell. Valorians fear things too, she said. Deho blinked. What do you fear? Emptiness. The word hung in the air between them. Being surrounded by people but feeling nothing from them. Reaching out and finding only silence. Humans are difficult for us because you give so little. Your walls make us feel alone, even in a crowded room. I never thought about it that way. Why would you? You cannot feel what we feel. She paused. But during the bonding, you felt it. My loneliness, my frustration, my desperate need to connect with someone who keeps pushing me away. Guilt twisted in Deho's chest. I am sorry. I do not want apologies. I want honesty. I do not know how to be honest. Not about this. Try. Yuna stood and walked toward him. She stopped just a few feet away, close enough to touch, close enough to feel. You felt what I feel for you during the bonding. You know it is real. So tell me what you feel in return. Use words. Say it out loud. Make it real. Deho's mouth went dry. His heart pounded. Every instinct screamed at him to deflect, to joke, to change the subject. But he was tired of listening to those instincts. They had done nothing but make him lonely and miserable. I think about you constantly, he said. The words came slowly, painfully, like pulling splinters from a wound. When I wake up, you are my first thought. When I go to sleep, you are my last. When I work, when I eat, when I breathe, you are there in the back of my mind. Always. Yuna's eyes shifted again, deeper blue now, almost violet. I have tried to stop, Deho continued. I have tried to push you away. I have tried to convince myself that what I feel is just attraction, just passing interest, just something that will fade. But it does not fade. It grows. Every day it grows. And this frightens you? Yes. His voice cracked. Because what I feel for you is bigger than anything I have felt before. It is vast and deep and terrifying. And if I let it out, if I admit it, if I say it out loud, then it becomes real. And real things can hurt you. Silence filled the workshop. The hum of the ship's engines was the only sound. Then Yuna moved. She took the final step between them and placed her hand on his chest, right over his heart. I can feel it, she said softly. Right now, beating so fast, full of so much fear and so much hope, so much want and so much terror. Her eyes met his. Your emotions are beautiful, Park Deho, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones. You are not disgusted by how messy they are? No, she smiled. It was small, gentle, real. I am honored. You have shown me something you show no one else. That is precious to me. But I ran. After the bonding, I ran away like a coward. Yes, you did. Her smile did not fade. And I am still here. I did not give up on you. I will not give up on you. But I need you to meet me halfway, Daiho. I cannot keep chasing someone who refuses to be caught. His name. She had dropped the formal last name. She had called him Deho. Just Deho. Something about that felt more intimate than anything else. I am trying, he said. I am trying to be brave. I know, I can feel it. Her hand was still on his chest. Her touch was cool and steady. You are making progress. Slow progress, but progress. And I am patient. How patient? More patient than you deserve. She laughed softly. It was a beautiful sound, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. But not infinitely patient. I have waited months. I will not wait years. That is fair. It is more than fair. It is generous. Daiho found himself smiling. Despite everything, despite the fear and the confusion and the overwhelming emotion, he was smiling. You are very confident. I am Valorian. We do not do false modesty. No, you do not. They stood there for a long moment, her hand on his heart, his eyes on her face. The universe outside the ship was cold and vast and full of danger. But in this small workshop, surrounded by tools and spare parts and the quiet hum of engines, things felt warm. "I should go," Una said finally. She did not move. "Okay. It is late. We both need rest." "Okay." Still neither of them moved. "Deho." "Yes?" "When you are ready to say what you feel, really say it, I will be waiting." She finally stepped back, her hand leaving his chest. The absence felt cold. "Do not make me wait too long." She walked to the door, paused, looked back at him one more time. "Good night, Park Deho." "Good night, Una." The door closed behind her. Deho stood alone in his workshop, his heart still racing, his mind still spinning. But somewhere beneath the fear, something else was growing. Something that felt like courage. Soon, he promised himself. Soon he would say it. He just needed a little more time. The Coalition Summit was the biggest gathering of species Deho had ever seen. Station Concordance floated in neutral space, a massive structure built by 20 different species working together over 50 years. Its halls were filled with beings from every corner of the galaxy, tall creatures and short ones, scaled and furred and feathered. Some breathed oxygen, some breathed methane, some did not breathe at all. All of them here for one purpose: to decide the future of the Coalition. The attack on the Valorian research station had changed things. The Krell had crossed a line. For years, they had been a nuisance, raiding supply ships and stealing resources. But attacking a Coalition station directly? Killing civilians? That was different. That was war, or it should have been. Deho stood in the observation gallery above the main chamber, watching the delegates argue. The humans were there, represented by Admiral Choi, a stern woman with gray hair and harder eyes. The Valorians were there too, led by Ambassador Talon. Una sat beside him, her face carefully neutral, her eyes shifting through colors too fast to read. And the Krell were there. Their delegation had arrived that morning, claiming the attack was the work of rogue elements who had been punished. They offered compensation. They offered apologies. They offered everything except truth. Deho could see it. Even without empathic abilities, he could see the lies in their posture, their words, their careful non-answers. The Krell delegation spoke like lawyers, not soldiers. They were buying time, not seeking peace. But the other species did not seem to care. One by one, delegates stood to speak about the importance of maintaining stability, about the dangers of escalation, about how war would hurt everyone. They were afraid, Deho realized. Not afraid of the Krell, afraid of the cost of stopping them. Ambassador Talon rose to speak. His voice was calm but firm. He reminded the assembly that his people could sense deception, that the Krell delegation's emotional signatures were full of hidden aggression and false sincerity, that accepting their story would only encourage more attacks. But the moment he finished, a delegate from the Sorting, a slug-like species known for their neutrality, raised an objection. The Valorians' empathic abilities make them biased judges, the delegate said. They feel what they want to feel. Their senses cannot be trusted as evidence. That is absurd, Una said, her voice sharp. Our abilities are biological fact, not opinion. Yet they are subjective, the Sorting delegate replied smoothly. What one Valorian feels, another might interpret differently. Hardly reliable. More delegates voiced agreement. The Valorians were too close to the situation, too emotional, too invested in revenge. Deho watched Una's face tighten. Her eyes went dark, almost black. She was fighting to control herself, fighting and losing. During the recess, he found her on an observation deck overlooking the station's central garden. She stood alone, staring at flowers that had been imported from 100 different worlds. They do not want truth, she said without turning around. They want convenience. They want to believe the Krell so they do not have to fight. I know. My people died, Deho. My sister nearly died. And they are dismissing us because our testimony is inconvenient. Her hands clenched into fists. Sometimes I wonder if the Coalition is worth saving. Deho moved to stand beside her. It is worth saving, but it needs to be reminded why. Una finally looked at him. Her eyes were still dark, but something in them shifted. Curiosity, maybe. What do you mean? I mean, someone needs to say what everyone is thinking, but too afraid to say. Someone who is not Valorian? Someone the other delegates cannot dismiss as biased? And who would do that? Deho took a deep breath. I would. He requested speaking time before the second session. Admiral Choi raised an eyebrow when she saw his name on the list, but did not object. Humans were allowed to address the assembly. It just rarely happened. The chamber was full when Deho stepped up to the central platform. Hundreds of eyes and other sensory organs focused on him. He felt very small, very human, very out of place, but he also felt something else. Determination. The same feeling that had driven him to volunteer for the rescue mission. The same feeling that had made him cut open pod after pod to save strangers. When something mattered, truly mattered, humans acted. This mattered. My name is Park Deho, he began. His voice sounded strange in the vast chamber, amplified by translation systems that converted his words into 100 different languages. I am an engineer on the coalition vessel Horizon's Edge. I was part of the team that responded to the distress signal from Valorian Science Post 9. He paused. Let the weight of that sink in. I saw the destruction. I cut open damaged escape pods with my own hands. I carried survivors to safety, and I found bodies of those who did not survive. I am not a politician. I am not a diplomat. I am a man who saw what the Krell did and cannot stay silent about it. The chamber was quiet, listening. The Valorians say the Krell are lying. Many of you have dismissed this because Valorians have empathic abilities that you consider biased. Deho shook his head. That is cowardice dressed up as caution. The Valorians are not biased. They are honest. Something many of us have forgotten how to be. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Deho continued. Humans are new to this coalition. We joined only a few decades ago. We do not have the history or the influence of other species, but we have learned something in our short time among the stars. Hiding from the truth does not make it go away. It just makes you weaker when the truth finally catches up. He looked directly at the Krell delegation. Their leader, a scaled creature with cold eyes, stared back without expression. The Krell attacked a research station. They killed innocent people, and they are here offering lies wrapped in pretty language, hoping you will accept them because fighting is harder than surrendering. Deho's voice grew stronger. Well, humans do not surrender to lies. We do not accept convenient fiction over uncomfortable truth. And we do not let our allies stand alone when they are dismissed for being honest. He turned to face the full assembly. My species has a long history of making mistakes. We have fought each other over territory, over resources, over ideas. We have been cruel and foolish and blind. But we have also learned. We have learned that peace built on lies is not peace. It is just delayed conflict. And we have learned that the only way to build something lasting is to start with truth. He paused. The chamber was silent. The Valorians are telling the truth. I did not need empathic abilities to see that. I just needed eyes and a willingness to use them. If this coalition cannot recognize truth when it is spoken, then it does not deserve to survive. Deho stepped back from the platform. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. But he had said what needed to be said. The chamber erupted into noise. Arguments, agreements, accusations. But something had shifted. He could feel it. His words had cracked something open. Admiral Choi caught his eye and gave him a small nod. Approval, pride, and across the chamber, Yuna was looking at him with eyes that had finally shifted to a color he recognized. Soft gold, like morning sunlight. The same color he had seen after the rescue mission. Hope. The vote came 3 hours later. The Krell's claims were rejected. New patrols were authorized. The coalition would not go to war, but it would not accept lies either. A compromise, but one built on truth rather than fear. After the session ended, Yuna found him in the human delegation quarters. That was unexpected, she said. Someone needed to say it. Yes, they did. She studied him with those color-shifting eyes. You spoke about truth, about honesty, about not hiding. Deho felt his face grow warm. I did. Interesting words from a man who has been hiding from me for months. I know. He met her gaze. Maybe it is time to stop hiding from everyone. Not just the coalition. Una smiled, that rare, beautiful smile that transformed her face. Maybe it is, she agreed. The Horizon's Edge left Station Concordance with new alliances and renewed purpose. Daiho stood in the corridor outside his quarters, trying to gather courage. The ship hummed around him. Crew members passed by, nodding greetings. Life continued normally. But for him, everything felt different. He had given a speech about truth and honesty to representatives of 40 species. He had stood up for the Valorians when no one else would. He had been brave in front of the entire galaxy. Now he needed to be brave for one person. June found him still standing there 20 minutes later. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Thinking. About? What I need to say." June crossed her arms. "You gave a speech about truth and honesty to 40 species. If you do not go talk to her right now, I will personally throw you out an airlock." "That seems extreme. I am extremely tired of watching you be a coward." But she was smiling when she said it. "Go, Daiho. She is on the observation deck. She has been there for an hour, probably waiting for you." "How do you know that?" "Because I asked her where she would be, and she told me." June pushed him gently toward the lift. "Go. Stop thinking. Just go." He went. The observation deck was quiet. Most of the crew was celebrating the successful summit in other parts of the ship. Here, there was only the soft glow of controls and the endless field of stars, visible through the massive window. Una stood in front of that window, watching the stars streak past as the ship traveled faster than light. Her silver-blue skin reflected the distant lights. Her white hair was loose, flowing down her back like a river of snow. She was beautiful. She had always been beautiful. But now, in this moment, she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "Your speech was impressive," she said without turning around. "Very human. Lots of passion. Minimal directness." Daiho walked to stand beside her. "I am not good at being direct. I have noticed." They stood in silence for a moment. Stars continued to rush past. The universe continued to exist. But here, in this small space, time felt frozen. "I have been thinking," Daiho said. "About what?" "About what you said. About not waiting forever." Una finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were silver, calm, patient. But beneath the patience, he could see something else. Hope, fear, anticipation. All the things he was feeling too. "And what have you decided?" she asked. Daiho took a deep breath. His chest felt tight. His throat felt dry. Every instinct told him to run, to hide, to make a joke and change the subject. He ignored them. "I am tired of hiding," he said. "I have been hiding my whole life. From my feelings, from other people, from anything that might hurt me. And all it has done is make me lonely and miserable. And now I want to stop. I want to be honest. Really honest. Even if it terrifies me." He faced her fully. "Especially if it terrifies me." Una's eyes shifted. Silver became soft blue. Blue became pale violet. She was waiting. She was listening. She was giving him space to find his words. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever met," Daiho said. The words came slowly, painfully, but they came. Not just physically, though yes, that too. "You are stunning. Your skin, your eyes, the way you move, the way you laugh. But that is not what makes you beautiful." "Then what does?" "The way you fight for truth. The way you refuse to accept walls. The way you kept trying to reach me even when I kept pushing you away." His voice cracked slightly. "The way you looked at me during the bonding and did not run from what you saw." Una's eyes shifted again. Deeper violet now, almost purple, colors swirling like galaxies. "I was scared," Daiho continued, "because what I feel for you is bigger than anything I have felt before. It is vast and deep and terrifying. Humans are not built for this. We hide because exposure is dangerous. We build walls because the world is cruel. But hiding from you felt worse than any danger, worse than rejection, worse than vulnerability, worse than anything." He reached out and took her hands, her cool, smooth hands that fit perfectly in his. "So I am not hiding anymore." "Say it," Una whispered. He met her eyes. those beautiful, color-shifting eyes that had haunted his dreams for months. You are the sexiest, most incredible alien woman I have ever encountered, and I am completely, hopelessly, desperately in love with you. The words hung in the air between them. Daeho's heart pounded. His hands trembled. He had done it. He had finally done it. After months of running, months of hiding, months of fear, he had said the truth. Yuna studied him for a long moment. Her eyes cycled through colors he had never seen before. Blues and purples and golds and silvers, all mixing together like a sunrise. 37 words, she said finally. Acceptable. For a human. Daeho blinked. That is your response? No. She smiled. That rare, beautiful smile that transformed her face. This is my response. She leaned forward and kissed him. It was not a perfect kiss. She was still learning human gestures. The angle was slightly wrong, the pressure slightly too firm, but the intent was perfect. The feeling was perfect. Everything about it was perfect. When they pulled apart, Daeho was breathing hard. His heart was racing. His entire body felt like it was glowing. That was unexpected, he said. Good unexpected or bad unexpected? Good. Definitely good. Yuna laughed. That beautiful sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. My people have a tradition. When feelings are finally spoken, they should be sealed. Would you permit a bonding? A real one. Not a demonstration. Daeho nodded. The bond opened between them, deeper than before, completely unguarded. He felt her joy, bright and brilliant like a sun. Her relief, warm and flowing like a river. Her affection, cultivated over months of patience and hope. She felt him too. His fear transformed into courage. His walls crumbling by choice. His love, vast and deep and finally free. When the bond ended, they stood closer than before, foreheads almost touching, breathing the same air. That was not so hard, Yuna said. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. I know, her eyes shimmered with amusement. I felt it. Humans are absurd. But worth it? She answered by kissing him again. This time the angle was better. Behind a nearby pillar, June pumped her fist in silent victory before sneaking away. Neither of them noticed. They stayed on the observation deck for hours, talking and kissing and bonding and laughing. The stars continued to stream past. The ship continued on its journey. The universe continued to be vast and cold and full of danger. But here in this small space, with this impossible, beautiful woman beside him, Daeho felt warm. 6 months later, they had become the ship's unofficial example of successful cross-species relations. Ambassador Talon used their partnership in diplomatic presentations. June claimed credit for the entire relationship. Daeho still struggled with expressing emotions verbally. Old habits were hard to break, but Yuna did not mind anymore. She felt what he felt. Words were just decoration, and sometimes, late at night on the observation deck, he practiced anyway, telling her things she already knew, things she could sense without effort, because he had learned that some walls were worth tearing down, and some truths were worth saying out loud. I love you, he said one night, watching the stars. I know, she replied. I felt it before you said it. Then why do you smile when I say it? Because feeling and hearing are different things. She took his hand. Feeling tells me what is true. Hearing tells me you are brave enough to share it. Daeho squeezed her hand. I will try to say it more often. I would like that. They stood together, watching the infinite darkness, and Daeho thought about everything that had led him here. The fear, the running, the hiding, the slow, painful process of opening up to someone who refused to let him stay closed. It had been hard, the hardest thing he had ever done. But looking at her now, feeling her hand in his, sensing the echo of her emotions through their bond, he knew it had been worth it. Every moment of terror, every confession, every wall torn down, worth it, completely worth it.